how we get down. What's good, everybody? Show number 2 of an insanely busy day here at the brand. Welcome in to the Coach and Company podcast. I am the coach, and if you miss any of the morning show live on Stadium or on YouTube, you can always go back and watch it on our Coach and Company YouTube page. While you are there, I just looked. We're getting a little bit closer to that number and that mark that we need to add our premium services and our premium content. So we hope if you have not subscribed to our Coach and Company YouTube page, do that right now for us. It would really help us over the course of the next month. Now, here on this podcast, we only go 20 or 30 minutes. Never more than that. And we add to the morning show, or we dive deeper into topics that we don't have time to on such a fast show in the morning. And whether you're a sports fan, whether you go on ESPN.com, whatever it is, it's interesting to see the reaction to the seismic shift in the professional wrestling world that we saw last night at SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium. Over 113,000 fans in 2 nights. It was the biggest SummerSlam ever. Should be after 2 nights instead of 1. But as we were going throughout the show, and last night you made our live watch-along post-game show, the biggest one we've ever had, and it's not close. There is so much interest right now, good, bad, or ugly, in the WWE. Because there's a lot of things that are going on. And I was sitting here with Raphael, and we were talking about what can they do to match the magic of night number 1, where right at the end, CM Punk realizes his dream, becomes a world heavyweight champion, and is a champion for about 2 minutes. And then Seth Rollins, who had been working all of us for the knee injury, comes out, drops the crutches, and cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase. So night number 2, there was so much speculation on would the final boss, The Rock, come back after 5 months of nothing? Would we see the Great One get back involved? And after the John Cena promo Friday night on SmackDown, where essentially he threw The Rock under the bus. Essentially, he said, hey, everybody that had the idea for the last 5 months, screw them. I'm going to go back to the person I always was. I was buying into making good television, making shock television, instead of doing what at my core I felt like we should do. It was a great way to instantly turn back babyface. But as I got to thinking about it last night, I said, why would they do it Friday night? Why would they make it a face versus face matchup with Cody Rhodes? And after what we saw, I was like, that's why. And as much as I criticize a lot of the things they do right now with lack of storytelling, the one thing that I will stand on, and I'm not saying that we are the reason for it, but the WWE needs to go back to understanding surprises are what the business is built on, swerves, storytelling, and making people go, damn. And in this new world where people on Instagram can put themselves at the top and the video at the bottom, I saw more of those reaction videos than I've seen for any other show, certainly this year. And everyone was the same. Oh, damn. I mean, listen to what Michael Cole said on the broadcast. Holy shit. It was a shock and awe moment. Now, the first 4 tweets that I got on my page, Coach, don't forget, Brock would, and it was like a screenshot of Brock and the lawsuit. And I, like a lot of other people, this has been going on for multiple years. And not to discount or diminish anything about what the young lady went through. I, like a lot of people, at some point in life, you have to move on. And in wrestling, I want to move on. That will settle itself. And there's a lot of speculation on that. But I don't need you to tweet at me because I know all about it. And for you, the fans, to not think that the WWE did their due diligence and said, and this has got to be in the works for a few months, because Brock was in incredible shape last night. And when you're sitting at home for multiple years, it's very easy to get out of shape. He was far from that. But for WWE to bring him back when his name was involved in that means that they thought it was okay, that they also want to move on, and that at some point Brock Lesnar wants to move on. And last night, the reaction from the crowd, it wasn't, oh, let me think about it, boo. this is a human being that is different. And I'm telling you firsthand, when Brock Lesnar puts his hands on you, it is different. This man is as unique, and the Beast name fits him to a T. Absolutely is. And yes, I see somebody in the chat watching us live right now. Yes, Vince Russo will be on the Coach and Bro Show later today. So we're going to talk all about this, not only here on the podcast, but on our brand new show on Sirius XM at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 to 4 off the ropes. Me and Mark Henry, who was in the ring with Brock Lesnar many, many times. And also the Coach and Bro Show, special start time today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with Vince. So once people, and I guess this is why I don't engage as much as I used to on Twitter, because when you're in a position like I am, and you've spent well over 10 years, well over a decade in the WWE, I feel like I need to engage. I need to help educate the audience so they don't go down this negative rabbit hole all the time of complaining constantly and not looking at some of the good things or looking at things, how things are done or explaining. But it's really, really hard when you get just tons of negative on your feed. And last night was that. And so finally I just put out one. I said, listen, enough. That was a moment. Listen to the crowd. Look at all the different shots. Look at social media and people that were there posting the video. You look at all of them. And that's coming off maybe one of the greatest matches John Cena has had in years with him and Cody Rhodes. And the way they set up the Brock stuff was brilliant. You had the hug before the match. You had two guys that respect each other. And now all of a sudden, in one night, John Cena throws the 5 months of being a heel away. And it was almost like the crowd, you could feel them saying, you know what, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to root for you again for the last 4 months of your career. But just like with CM Punk on Saturday night, I thought if there's at least a little bit of a critique, it lasted a little bit too long to where you felt like somebody was coming out. And then when Cody disappeared, then you knew it wasn't going to be the final boss, The Rock, because Cody would have been involved in that. So, but that's a minor criticism over all of the things that we're now talking about. And I went to bed last night thinking, because I love the details. And I was a part of many, many times where you're sneaking a talent in, you're bringing them in an SUV laid down in the back. If all the ways you can imagine at home that it could happen, we've done that. And it's exciting. It's fun. And I want to have fun. We only live for a short period of time, and the last few weeks have taught us that. And I know for me, that's where I want to be. I want to be able to enjoy all this kind of stuff. I want to be at a point where we can say, holy shit, and then talk about it. And it is one of those situations that if we can do that, how much joy will that bring? How much fun will that be? And last night now opened up for John Cena, and it's easy to forget history. And in wrestling, you can't forget history. And the history is 11 years ago, Brock Lesnar had one of the most dominant wins over John Cena. So now if you're looking at long-term storytelling, it makes sense to bring Brock Lesnar back. There's also the whole, hey, they need a shot in the arm type of thing. We need to forget about The Rock completely bailing on the entire company and the shows for whatever reason. We still don't know. But we have not heard from him, and now it feels like nobody wants to and nobody cares to. And all of the push and pull backstage all just went out the window when Brock Lesnar's music hit last night. So now, and they announced last night, and once again, Triple H did the video. He's good at them. That's not my point. But they announced that next year, once again, will be 2 nights. And when you make that kind of money for a 2-night show, they're not going to go back to 1. As much as some of us will bitch and moan and complain, but they had 12 different matches over the course of 2 nights. They had 6 hours. They had 6 hours of pregame shows. And then I really felt like they made a concerted effort to not make the actual show too long, so the crowd still had energy at the end to pop for the Seth Rollins and for the Brock Lesnar. Very strategic. I will give Triple H credit for that. All of you Cardi B fans out there, she showed up for about 2 minutes and cut a promo that sounded a little something like this. Randy Orton, It still blows my mind that a young lady from Love and Hip Hop New York is now and has been one of the biggest hip hop artists in the world. Because when you listen to her talk, it just makes you laugh. But they did do something that continues to be irritating to me and a lot of OG fans. On a night when so many surprises were happening and we're reminded of what the business should be and is, they posted a video of Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Cardi B just chopping it up in the back. Well, Logan Paul just fought Randy Orton on SummerSlam. And then they're boys and buddies backstage. Now I know how it works. You don't tell me Coach is premeditated. These guys are all friends. I was there for 13 years. I get that. But don't show it to me. Don't make me see it. I don't want to know that Logan and Randy, who just beat the hell out of each other, are really friends with Cardi B. Now, I'd love to see a video with Brock Lesnar with Cardi B. That would be what the hell. That would be what the hell. So it's going to be interesting throughout the day on all of our different shows. And I want to know your reaction to it. What did you make of the WWE's decision to bring back Brock Lesnar? And do you think we're going to see a program with him and John Cena over the course of the next 4 months? Also, what did you think of John Cena turning heel? Very interesting. A lot of comments in the chat today. Thank you guys very much. It's going to be an interesting rest of 2025. And part of the reason we started all of our shows is because there is so much content. We've got 9.5 years of this Netflix deal. So we've got 9.5 years of content guaranteed. But you got to have stars. You got to have star power. And that's what we got Saturday with Seth Rollins. And we got that last night with Brock Lesnar. So we'll get into plenty more of that in the shows to come today. Follow me on social media. I'm always updating where we are going to be. Some other things that happened over the weekend. And you guys see that I'm wearing my PFL hat. And you guys have been incredibly supportive of the PFL and kind of our new way of doing things because we love the traditional sports. NFL is going to dominate our shows from September to February. We get all that. But I'm a big part of the PFL. And I love MMA. I love fighting. And Khabib Nurmagomedov was at our event. He was in the corner of Movlid Habulayev on Friday night. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we were staring at, I was 5-10 feet away from the greatest MMA fighter of all time. Brock Lesnar, if you remember, had a stint and was at one point the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. These guys are legit tough guys. And watching Khabib move and watching Khabib shake hands with people, his culture is so reverent to their parents, to their grandparents. And I had never really seen it in person, but there was probably 6 or 7 of them. They all have the beards and they all have the certain way that they want to look. And they're also incredibly polite. And they are nasty in the best possible way. And Khabib's even quoted on ESPN.com right now. He was doing an interview, and he was talking about Conor McGregor, who he beat soundly during his UFC career. And he basically says it would be very easy for him just to blast Conor McGregor. It would be very easy for him to say, yeah, I want the worst for him. But he says different things than that, you know. I hope he changes the way that he's living. And Conor McGregor, who hasn't fought since 2021, I believe was his last fight, still remains in the spotlight for mostly bad reasons. BKFC has him as a part owner, and they can do what they want with him if they want. But Khabib showed that he's an absolute gentleman when he didn't have to be. He also put the belt around Movlid's waist after he won the PFL featherweight world championship in the $500,000 first prize. It was amazing to be that close and to witness it. And I also reminded myself, because I think sometimes, and I want you guys to think about this, we all spend, I see, the same names, Kimberly and Big Cheesy and Nonsense, and we've all become basically friends doing this content. This is how we get through our day. It's how we enjoy ourselves, and I think it's awesome. But sometimes you got to stop and think seriously about the world that you live in. Am I doing things the right way? Am I treating people the right way? And what I saw Friday night from Khabib and his entire team is exactly that. Is a human being who quit fighting. Think about this. He quit fighting because his father tragically passed away during COVID, from what we understand. And his dad ran their gym. And we're talking about multiple world champions out of their gym. Right now, they probably will have 2 of our 8 world champions in our PFL World Tournament out of that gym, 2 of the 8. And his mother, reportedly, said, you need to run this for your father now. This was his. Now this is yours. I do not want you to fight anymore. And Khabib did not blink an eye. He's been offered millions of dollars by Dana White several different times to come back and fight in the UFC. And every single time, he has said no, without discussion. That is dedication to your family, to your gym, to your people. And I want to give credit for that to Khabib. And he was so into the fights, because I also tell my kids this all the time. Don't be too cool for school. Meaning, I don't care the level where you're at, what it is. If you show up and you're giving of your time, give me 100%. Every day on this show, I give you 100%. And you give it right back to me. You never see me show up going, I don't care today. I just want to get through a show. Because this is what we do. This is how we live. And you got to give effort. And that's what I saw on Friday night. Absolutely amazing. A couple other things as we head into the month of August. Shout out to Cam Young getting his first PGA Tour victory after 7 runner-ups in the last 3 or 4 years. I had years ago a very, very funny run-in with Cam Young. As many of you know who follow me here, I host an event every single December. I'll be at it this year called Golf for Cops down there in the West Palm Beach area. And there's always several PGA Tour players, several LPGA Tour players that show up because it's December. They all live around the area. And Cam Young was my pro in my group a few years ago. He had just gotten his PGA Tour card. So I didn't know who he was, even though I've worked for the tour for 8 years doing events. I'll be doing the St. Jude this week, and he'll be coming to the St. Jude as a PGA Tour champion for the first time. And he really needed it to vault himself into a number where he potentially can make the Tour Championship in the next 3 weeks. So I went up to him because I'm invested. When I talk about too cool for school, when I got into golf, said I want to learn all of it. I don't want to just come in and call some events, get a check, and that's it. I want to understand every single part of it. So I walked up to him, and I said, hey, listen, I know that you just got your tour card, and I don't know how much you're going to be able to play this year, but if you need a caddy, I would love to do it for you. And I would take it serious, knowing that they're playing for millions of dollars. You've got to have everything tightened up. All the bells and whistles have got to be T's crossed, I's dotted. And he's very quiet. He doesn't even have social media. And he looked right at me and says, Coach, that's very kind of you. I would be honored. And I will absolutely think about it. Right now, I've got a buddy, but we're looking into a few things. And I realized later that he was just very politely letting me down because he's looking at me going, this clown wants to caddy for me and on the PGA Tour when I'm playing for millions against the best players in the world. And we've actually laughed about it a couple of times over the last few years when I've run into him. We had him on a guest on the show last year as well. So congratulations go out to Cam Young. Now he's got a 2-year exemption. Not that it was an issue, but every player wants to have that exemption so you don't have to worry about your PGA Tour card, which now has never been harder to get or to keep. And so now that will not be an issue for him. Finally, before we get the hell out of here, earlier today, we started the AFC East. We're going to be counting down on the morning show, 24 shows counting today, before we get to night number 1 in the NFL season, the Eagles and the Cowboys. So we've got 8 days looking at divisions. So I encourage you to go back and watch that on the AFC East. We'll do AFC this week and then NFC the next 4 days after that. And then we will have 16 days, 2 teams a day. We'll break down everything in the NFL. And the Hall of Fame game had over 6 million people watch the Hall of Fame game, 34-7. The Chargers beat the Lions. And it got me to thinking, are we going to see the highest rated season that we've ever seen in the NFL? Because the NFL, no matter what, is always the golden goose, is always what people want to talk about and people do talk about. And in the AFC, you've got a couple of storylines I want you to think about here. That Josh Allen, who has everything, he has a super max contract. I think it's $300 million, whatever it is. He just got married to a very well-known actress. They are happy. They are living in Buffalo. They are over minus 300 to win the AFC East. But now things take a different turn when you think about the fact that he's no longer a 23-year-old player. He's been around for a while. He has no Super Bowl titles. But also in the AFC, you've got Lamar Jackson for Baltimore. He has no Super Bowl championships. Can't even talk today. And so you still have Patrick Mahomes, number 15, who says, wait a second, hold my coffee, hold my beer. We're going to be better than we were last year, a year where we still went to the Super Bowl and got blown out by the Eagles. So if you're the Bills and you're Josh Allen, what can you possibly do to turn that corner? Well, first, you got to get that number 1 seed. Very important, I think, to have the AFC Championship in your house. And then you've got to prove to yourself that, hey, we can beat anybody at any time, anywhere. But right now, there's that big old thing on their shoulders saying, hey, Chiefs, can't beat them. You can't beat them. So they made several moves on the offensive side. Their defense is really, I believe, the issue. So that's the big story with the Buffalo Bills. The other team that will make headlines, but maybe not for the right reasons, are the Miami Dolphins. Tyreek Hill, who was the toast of the town a few years ago when he signed for $30 million coming from Kansas City. And I was distraught when we left him, or when we lost him. But not anymore. This guy's an absolute train wreck. I mean, he is, I think, well over 10 kids at this time. He has kids at the same time, multiple kids at the same time. It's an absolute disgrace. His wife just filed for divorce. So now how is he going to focus? And Tua is even taking shots at him. Tua, his quarterback. They're supposed to be one of the best duos in the entire NFL. Tyreek Hill has got to sit down with himself and say, listen, I play a position that when I get north of 30, I'm going to slow down. And he's the fastest wide receiver in the league right now, or the quickest. And so he's got to realize he's only got a couple of years left making this kind of money. And he's got to extend that deal because, hell, he's got 14 kids to pay for. But it's such a negative vibe right now. Mike McDaniels came in as the coach a couple of years ago, and he was like this new innovative guy. He's weird, and the way he talks and all that kind of stuff, the players love him. Well, they love him until you stop winning. They love you until, hey, I'm tired of hearing this voice and the unique way of looking at things because we can't win. They have not had a playoff win in almost 25 years. Most of the time, we don't look at that. 25 years almost. They have not had a playoff win. The drought for some of these teams is almost embarrassing in a league where there is a salary cap and the schedule changes every single year. And they still can't win. So Mike McDaniels, this is his year. If they're successful, I think he stays. If they're not, I think they'll go in another direction. So those are 2 of the 4 teams. And then, of course, a lot of people are high on Drake May, who showed some signs of brilliance last year. They are the same. Their number to over-under on wins at most books are 8.5, same as the Dolphins. But we'll see now. They've got a new head coach in Mike Vrabel. Tennessee, what are you doing? So we'll see if they can cause any damage. But right now it's the Bills, the Dolphins, and then I think the Patriots, and then far back will be the Jets, who will have Justin Fields as their quarterback. All right, that's going to do it for today. Remember, tomorrow we'll not have a podcast. I'm going to be wheels up for the St. Jude Championship. and we will tweet out exactly what our schedule is going to be. But it's going to be a lot of hit and miss. I'm going to be on the road for, almost 3 weeks. We've got 2 more PFL events and a PGA Tour event. But we will continue to do the show every single weekday leading up to the NFL season. So once again, I want to thank all of you. You keep coming. You keep finding us. You keep finding our content. And I cannot thank you enough. So that's going to do it for now. We will see you at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on SiriusXM Channel 156 for Off the Ropes with me and Mark Henry, talking everything SummerSlam throughout the afternoon. Until then, for Producer Man, I'm the coach. We'll see you next time. There's only one Coach and Company, the podcast.